You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog Liberty Podcast on the We Are Libertarians Network. I'm your host, Jeremiah Morrell, and as always, I'm joined by our co-host, Dakota Davis.
What's up, Jeremiah?
Man, we're having, this is episode 67, and we are having a tragic meltdown of technology already.
It's already happening.
Our live stream, we can't plug in our iRig because it's not working. They can't hear anything in the real world. So if you've tried to watch the live stream, this is the place to get the perfect crystal clear audio on the podcast audio feed, because we are a podcast first. The video is what it is. We've got some people in the studio with us. We'll get them introduced real quick, and then we'll finish the intros on the show. On our left is Daniel Paul Morrell, my baby brother.
What's happening?
You're back as a returning co-host.
I am. You pulled me away from the wedding field.
This is wedding week. So that brought in the other two mystery guests we have. On my right, camera left, is cousin Donnie Morrell, who flew in today from Florida. Welcome, Donnie.
Cuzzo. How are you?
I always say Donnie is like 3 times Danny in everything, so it's fantastic. How do you explain? Dakota asks me all the time, where does Danny get it? And I said, wait till you meet Donnie, and you're gonna know. And then off camera,
You'll know in a couple hours.
Off camera, the lovely Sarah Potter for the final time.
The last time is the lovely Sarah Potter.
That's right.
Unless we do a podcast tomorrow.
You're gonna live stream.
Live stream the rehearsal dinner.
You're gonna live stream the rehearsal. All right.
You guys are going to have lapel mics, and I'm going to take the Mevo.
Sounds good.
Oh, what the hell? Why not? So our show is about our lives in rural Indiana. This is a show about folks who are involved in politics, and we promise that our episodes are going to be fun and an easy listen. We interview people who are influencers. That's Danny. Elected officials. That's none of us. Political experts. That's Dakota and Donnie. And folks we just find interesting. That's definitely the lovely Sarah Potter. So this is episode 67. We've got some announcements, some housekeeping to make. Dakota, the Patreon, we've been talking about that and joking about it. We've made some leaps and bounds.
That's right. We're at $360 a month on the Patreon right now. We picked up another donor, Mr. John Phillips. John, I guess, has been a long-time listener, but for some reason I never had him added on Facebook. So
you weren't friends?
Yeah, I added him yesterday because I realized the mistake. So
did he add you back?
Yeah, he did. He approved the friend request, so we're good there. The tinfoil time topic that we had on the episode yesterday.
I thought that was a Tuesday show. It's all of a sudden it keeps coming out on Wednesdays. Is it a Wednesday show now?
It just depends. We don't promise a day. We promise a bonus episode. Every week. It doesn't. We could do it on Friday or Saturday. It doesn't matter.
Whenever you get around to it.
That's right. It was on Johnny Gosh, who is a paper boy that went missing in 1982. That topic was actually brought to our attention by a Patreon subscriber, Kirsten Kronk, and she wanted to hear what we had to say. So that's where that happened.
Started listening to that, and I thought you said 1928, and then
I did at the beginning.
Yeah, and then I was like, how are all these people still alive as you're going through it? I'm like, they must be the oldest people in the world.
Well, I corrected myself after I said it, I think.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
you said something about Catherine Winters.
Audrey corrected me.
I get very busy.
Yeah, Audrey was the one that corrected me, and I said, I guess I'm going back to the Catherine Winters case.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was the joke.
Oh, well.
It was 1982.
Oh, God, yeah. That was before I was born. Only one person in this room was alive in 1982.
Yeah, that guy would have been 38 years old. I was looking at that at the hotel on the way over. That's a holy beer right now, but man, that's our age. God.
Well, yours.
Well, I'm 44.
Oh man. All right. So we've got a room full. The reason we got a room full is I'm getting married Saturday to the lovely Sarah.
This Saturday?
Well, unless you want to change it.
Guys,
Danny,
I've already
next weekend?
no.
Jeremiah,
this weekend or no weekend?
Are you already trying to back out of this?
No, I think she's the one that's going to run. I'm good to go.
If she shows up with sneakers, you'll know.
Yeah.
Nope,
Yeah.
they're heels.
We spent the day. We spent the day building a tent and moving chairs and building a wedding venue. So Danny's turned his house into a space for an intimate couple hundred people.
He looks exhausted.
I am quite tired, but it's been good so far. So you have 275 of your closest friends. I'm curious to see where these people come from.
All over the country.
It's gonna be crazy.
We've
It's
got
gonna be
family
great.
and friends from like 10 states. It's surreal, and I'm really excited to see everybody. I wish we could have invited even more,
Me
but
too.
it's
I'm not sure I know 275 people. If I do know 275 people, then I probably shouldn't.
says the guy who talks to multiple times of that every week.
Yeah, well.
They know you. It's when you walk through Walmart. Hey, Dakota, how you doing?
Yeah. Hello. Hi, you.
Oh man. So what'd you do for the 4th of July? Did you go down to your summer home?
Yeah, we went down to Brookville, and we went to a flea market down there, and I bought a new hat to use when I'm on the lake. So
Is it like Danny's?
Bucket hat,
Big old floppy hat.
mine's a big straw hat.
Nice.
That's nice.
picking strawberries and such.
Yep.
Are you gonna whitewash some fences with that hat on?
Maybe. I don't
Maybe.
know. It could
Okay.
happen.
The other person that's in the room, that if you're suffering through the iPad comment video only, but you're not listening to the podcast audio, you've heard us talk about Cousin Rick before. Cousin Rick is over here as well. He's a groomsman, and you may or may not hear him speak up at one time or another. But he's lurking in the corner. Cousin Rick is here.
Hello.
Oh man! All right, so you went down to Brookville. Danny and I went to the Memorial Park fireworks. Spent the day in Henry County's greatest park.
I went on a police run.
You did. You
What?
You and
Yeah.
Matt Pierce were
We were looking
on
for
the golf
perps.
cart, looking, responding to calls.
Yeah,
How did
volunteered.
Danny get to do a ride along before we did?
I'm better at it. I was sitting on the 4-wheeler when he got the call. He goes, "Hey, look out for a red Yukon." I'm like, okay,
Got it.
new tip came in. He's got a bandana on. I got it.
Nice.
Let me hide my beer.
Oh man,
I love that.
watching on the live feed. I guess my Aunt Martha and Uncle Gary are here. They've made it. They're watching
Yay.
from my parents' house, so we're saying what's up to them. Brian Morrell's in the chat. Just before we turn the mics on, Dakota's like, "Oh my god, it's my worst fear. I'm surrounded by morals."
It's the highest amount of morals that have ever been in this house.
Do you have any morals yet?
Normally,
I don't think so.
normally one's enough for him, and now he's
You're
got.
not getting them from me and Danny, that's for sure.
Now Donnie doesn't. He's not a moral. You're a Morell.
Whatever.
It's like a
It depends
feud
how
in the
long you've
family.
been in Messina, close to the border and to Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, Morel, Moral, it's all depends where you are and how you pronounce it.
You
Yeah.
live in Florida, though.
We all grew up in the same town
Are you
on the Canadian
Are
border.
you
Hey.
Are you on the part of Florida that got blown off during the 4th of July?
The southern tip.
The southern tip.
We are in the southwest part of Florida, just south of Sarasota and north of Fort Myers. So we're right in that little area, and it's hot as hell. I mean, it's
Yeah. I bet.
we're like that close to the equator.
Was it? What time did you get to Indiana today?
12:30, 1 o'clock.
Okay, so you felt the heat today.
It was raining. I think when Donnie got
I was
here,
actually
we'd already.
kind of.
Oh,
It was
it was already
cold because it was
raining?
raining.
You
Oh,
look
no.
cold.
Before it started
Yeah, I've
raining,
got
it
long
was
sleeves and
it was
pants
93
on.
degrees outside.
And muggy.
Oh, it was horrible.
You're talking to a guy that was working outside all day yesterday while you guys were partying,
Yeah. So
working on my sewer line that I broke.
what was the 4th
Too many
of July like in
burritos?
Florida? Do you guys celebrate that, or is it full of people that aren't really independent?
I can tell you that there's every township. The plan originally was to take the boat out, go on Charlotte Harbor and Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte. They both shoot off fireworks from either sides of the bridge, and there's hundreds of boats that go out there, and they just anchor up and watch it, and everybody has a good time. That was the plan originally, but Florida weather is all the same. Right around 3 o'clock
Hot and it starts raining.
until sunset, the storms come in, and they're if we were to have one of those storms in Messina, they would close the schools.
Yeah.
And it's like, whew, wow,
Don't want
is
to be
this
on a
real?
boat in that.
Yeah. You kind of get used to them. And it was kind of like when Irma blew in. All the Northerners that hadn't ever been through a hurricane before are losing their minds. And the normal people that have been through it before in Florida are like, whatever. I mean, the houses are made to withstand that stuff now.
Throw a little tape on the window; it'll be all right.
Yeah.
So Sarah and I spent the day out in Memorial Park for the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
So you did the stayed at home thing. Danny was out there for a bit, but Sarah and I went out to see the Cannon dedication, which was a huge event. The
It was much bigger than expected.
Yeah, they had the west overhang was covered up, and Audrey's reporting you have a problem, Dakota.
Yeah.
She's not been paying attention to the beginning of the show. Tell her she has to watch the podcast or listen to the podcast later. So we went out and the west overhang. There were a couple of speakers. Gene Ingram, who's been very involved with taking the Cannon down and getting it rehabbed. The folks from Magna Machine and Tool spoke, and then Dick Bauslog, who was just here, the county councilman. He gave a great presentation on the history of it, and I think there's going to be a YouTube feed somewhere. And then they had a surprise for everybody. This cannon was made in 1890, and it was in World War I. The Germans had it, and then General Omar Bundy, who's from Newcastle, he captured the cannon, and in 1923, in the early 20s, it was shipped over to New Jersey, and then over a period of a few years, they wound up getting it in Newcastle, and it's been on what they call American Legion Hill or Legion Hill in Memorial Park, and it was there for 80-some years until it darn near rusted away. Gene Ingram and his folks took it 4 years ago, rehabbed it, and put it on the hill. And what happened next, Sarah?
They actually fired it.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. It was super awesome because you're, watching this cannon get unveiled. There's this giant blue tarp on top of this cannon that's 6.5 feet tall and probably 10.
Yeah, they said it weighs 10
long.
tons. It's about 25 feet long.
Wow,
Okay.
10 tons.
Yeah. And
it's big.
The Neils hoisted the thing. They lifted it up, brought it up the hill, and dropped it into place.
It was awesome.
Can you imagine? It's 100 years ago trying to move a 10-ton cannon in
how
war.
How big are the Neils? They must be big people.
They're stout, man. Very stout family. So yeah, that was the cool thing though is they had they'd put in black powder or whatever and fired it, and there's some people got some still pictures, and there's the big giant fireball coming out of it.
That one looked
How
awesome.
loud was that?
I had my ears plugged and I got out from under the overhang because I was like, I don't want it to echo in here and me bust an eardrum. So I was standing out kind of by where the speakers were originally because they were just outside the overhang. And it was loud, so I had both my ears plugged and it was still very loud. Although at the very beginning, so they lit the fuse, and the guy who had the microphone up there, who was one of the speakers, he was talking about, it'll go off. Give it about 20 or 30 seconds. It'll go. And people are just waiting, watching. All the photographers, I feel like, are just ready to click those pictures. And then all of a sudden you see these little floating things coming out of the cannon.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at them like, are those butterflies? And then all of a sudden, boom, you hear it go off. And you see the fireball come out. It was really cool. Obviously, they didn't shoot anything, but they were packing peanuts. That
Heard they hit
inside.
the doughboy.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
So
Kate and I were actually golfing, and we were just finishing up
Were you
the
at Memorial
18th
Park?
hole. Yeah.
Did you hear it go off?
We did. Thanks for stealing the story. That's it.
I'm guessing you heard it.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Story's
there
over.
were
This
only
is
so many.
Jeremiah's podcast.
Didn't realize.
There were only so
Time
many
to the bar,
ways.
Danny.
There were only so many ways that story could go. I was just guessing.
Well
I
done.
could have been wrong.
Jeremiah tells the stories here.
Yeah, that's
Okay?
fine. All right.
Yeah, you wait patient.
I have a story I want Donnie to tell in a moment.
All right.
Boy.
Uh-oh.
So so the other big thing about that cannon, it was all paid for by private donations.
Yep.
So Gene is
but
with the Historical
$1.
Society. Yeah, I think they
They'll
turned it back
sell
over to
the
the county
cannon
for $1.
$1.
It wasn't a sale; it was a return.
Return, sorry, so they can get it back.
Yeah, even though it was sitting there. Good luck moving it. They should have refused. The county should have refused paying that and seen what happened.
So does everybody have all 10 fingers after the 4th of July this year?
I'm not digitally
His are
challenged.
stinky.
John Paul Jones doesn't.
What is I don't even know what
the
that
guy,
means.
the guy from the Buccaneers that was with the Giants.
Okay. I
JC
was like,
Pierre-Paul.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's the one.
I was like,
Yeah,
John Paul
wrong
Jones.
guy.
Some guy with 3 names.
Yeah, there you go.
Jason Pierre-Paul.
He
There you
sounds
go,
like
Jason
a serial
Pierre-Paul.
killer.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love a good Jason Pierre-Paul meme. Bring it out every 4th of July.
Yes,
Every
he just
time.
posted another one that it actually showed. He showed his stump,
Yeah.
and he was talking about as a public service announcement. Be careful with fireworks, and I saw that, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
He can only count to 7, man. It's not good. Oh, but he's really good at fractions, so it's fine.
Wow.
I bet he is, yeah.
Yeah. I think he can do
That's
2/3.
got to have a silver lining to every dark cloud.
Greg Phipps is the water superintendent. He taught me that joke, and he's got the same problem. So I don't feel bad. I'm not that smart. I got that from Greg. So who the hell is Donnie Morrell? Danny, do you want to explain who he is, what he does?
Well, Donnie's our cousin.
Okay.
He's from upstate New York. I'm going to choke you with my bike cord.
I deal with this sometimes more than once a week.
Hey, Dakota.
I've been his brother for 32 years.
Dakota, my
Can't
job is
imagine.
my job is to make sure Donnie's microphone is right, and then your job is to make sure Danny's microphone is
So
right.
Donnie's our cousin from upstate New York. We left him when I was about 7 years old. It would have made him roughly 19.
Oh my God, no.
I bet.
How old are you now?
32. How old are you?
Ooh.
How's my math?
Ooh.
Yikes.
God.
But Donnie's from upstate New York. Always looked up to him. He was a firefighter, paramedic.
Well, you don't look up to him anymore. It's more
Well, no.
looking
Now it's
down
down.
upon him. Yeah.
Since I was about 11. But
Well, yeah.
but now he made his way to Florida. He made the trip up here to celebrate your guys' special day, which is great. You were a CO for a while too, weren't you?
Yeah, for about a year and a half.
Yeah. Was there a funny story about like a
No.
like
There
a
is
movie?
not. No, there's not.
No,
No.
I've heard.
There's not. There is absolutely not.
There appear to be some gestures going on and certain things that we cannot put in the For Consumption podcast.
All I can say is that my cousins, Mark Morrow and Mike Morrow,
They didn't like it.
What does a CO
they still
mean?
remind me.
What does a CO mean?
Corrections officer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And did you have to correct anything after
The
said incident?
Okay,
The
we're just going to
statute-
drop it.
the statute of
Drop it
limitations
right
is apparently
now.
not over yet.
No.
All right. So
It was a horrible prank that they played on me, and
I think you should at least
and
clear
not
the
only,
air and
not
tell
only
them how
did it
terrible
hit me,
it was.
it hit like a whole bunch of people that I lived with. That I lived with in the Harlem Valley housing in downstate New York. So I'll just leave it at that. I definitely can't say that.
And that is all he can say.
Yeah.
that's all I can say about that.
I can fill in the details. So what
Oh
happened?
God, no.
Donnie is more uptight than what Sean Rao was whenever he came on, and he's a lawyer.
Well, maybe a couple more Budweisers, and we'll get the real story from Donnie.
When the mics go off, you'll definitely hear the real story.
So,
All right.
So Dakota in his notes, in his moral interview, says, "How the hell many morals are there? Does anybody count it? Do we know?"
There can only be one.
It seems
So?
like every time I turn around, Jeremiah's going, "Oh, my cousin Jedediah."
Serena Morrill is in the chat, and she says, "Tell it."
Look,
No.
listen,
Your wife has commanded
no,
you.
no.
so many morals.
No.
This is
No,
insanity.
yeah, this is one thing that I'll absolutely say no to.
Taking to the grave. All right,
Yes.
we'll move on. I don't know. So they're basically
It's super. It's all I can say is it is one of the most.
I'm trying to move on, and you're
yeah,
staying.
move on.
All right.
One of the most embarrassing stories of my life. That's how bad it was, and they got me good. They really got me good.
And it came up again 20 years later.
It comes up every time I see them. Hey, you remember when? Oh my God! Please let that die.
It'll never die.
So there were three moral boys: Paul, Jim, and Bob. Bob never had any kids. Paul had had Paul and Martha. So Danny and I are the guys that came out of
We're
Paul.
the spawn of Paul.
We're the spawn of Paul and Paul. And then Jim had a handful, and he had a set of twins, and one of the twins is Donnie, and then out of Donnie came another Donnie. Donnie's on the Italian side of the family. It's Donnie, Jimmy, and Angie. I don't know.
Nice.
I don't know why there wasn't a fourth. We don't have any. See, anytime I talk Italian, Danny says I'm going to be offensive, so I have to stop.
No, go ahead, please.
No.
What did you
No,
say
it
last
wasn't.
time?
No, that it's not that you try to talk Italian that's offensive.
It's
It's
just
what
sake
you.
of-
It's what you call
Say
Italian.
very racist things.
No, see, here's the thing. I meant to say jabroni at one point.
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong
And
with that?
I accidentally said Guido, and Danny thought it was like a hard R. It was.
It
Danny
is.
was
It's not
very
even
upset.
that bad.
See, that's what I've said the
Yeah,
whole time.
But you're very
And Danny-
Italian. You
and
can say it to people. We can't.
I'm related to a half Italian. It's
Listen.
fine.
Jeremiah looks more Italian than you do, so maybe he can get away with
Once
it.
he sheds more weight, see what happens.
Yeah.
All right.
Eye ties really do not care what you call them. I'm telling you.
We'll
We'll just put concrete shoes on you and put you in the lake.
We had Alan.
that's the end of it.
Alan Millerini was at the bachelor party, and that seat was Ben. I still can't pronounce Ben Pizza's name. Dakota, you help me out. Ben Palazzo. Ben Polizzi.
Polizzi.
Polizzi. Yeah. Yeah, Alan's in the chat. He's the one getting offended. Easy Voss Hog, I'm Italian. Donnie says I've covered.
He's covered.
Listen, Alan, we'll wrestle about it.
We
Saturday.
can talk to Alan about Polish people.
Yeah.
As long as it's after about 7:30.
You can talk to anybody about Polish people because Polish people literally stink.
But they throw the best parties.
Man, we're not getting the Polish votes.
No,
You know the Pope was Polish, right?
I don't care about
Was
the Pope.
or is?
I'm not Catholic.
No, he's not.
The new
not
pope
the
is
current one.
Italian.
It was.
All right.
Now he's like South American.
Oh, South American. Never mind.
They had Italians, a long line of
A
Italian, long
long
lines.
line
Then they
of
had the Polish Pope, the German Pope, and now the South American.
A lot of the cardinals are Italian, correct?
You're supposed to screen videos before you send them out, Donnie.
Please don't.
So
I
we're
didn't
moving
even
on.
view any of it. None of it.
We're moving on. So Donnie,
However, my roommate did.
Donnie, what's the day job? What do you do? What makes you cool?
I work as a flight medic for a company in Florida.
Okay.
I thought that you were a pilot for all these years.
No. I worked rode as a medic on the state police helicopter, Onondaga County Sheriff's helicopter, and then transferred over and went back to the ambulance, and then got hired at Air Methods when they were opening bases up in New York, and they opened a whole bunch of them. And got brought on there, and here I am 6 years later with the same company.
Couple of years ago, when the prisoners escaped from the prison up in the Adirondacks, were you involved in that at all for the search of the?
No, the only thing we were doing was giving the state police all of the airspace of the Adirondacks. So when we had medevacs that had to go through that area, we had to actually get on with their controller and just to fly to the areas because they had like 3 or 4 aircraft up there looking.
Yeah,
for them.
I bet that was a pretty hectic scene up there.
I'm sure it was.
Wow. We're just ignoring things.
They're both like laughing across the table from each other.
Zach Burcham is in the chat going, I feel like I'm watching some sort of a family reunion and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
It's like a train crash. You just can't look away. You know it's coming.
Yeah, well, you know. I need to talk to the full-time intel team that we have north of Q Avenue because they definitely said that you were a pilot. So I had written show notes.
What we said is that you fly.
Yeah.
You
fly.
assume.
So wait.
It doesn't mean that he's driving.
I didn't blame anybody specifically. I said the intel team.
Right.
The intel. Okay.
He's a great stewardess, and he flies.
Yeah. Coffee, tea, or me?
Dakota wants to know if you give free helicopter rides.
Absolutely not.
No.
Only to communists.
Oh wow, no, just to patients. But those aren't free either.
So what?
We could ask Rex Bell how much one costs.
Yeah. How much?
knows?
Yeah, I think Rex's was like $40,000 to fly from
It was
Richmond to
between
Indy
30 and 40.
in an emergency because he had a stroke,
Yeah, he's had a stroke, guys.
He
I
said
don't know if
that
you knew
tonight.
that.
We were hanging out with Rex about an hour ago. Rex's wife, Susan, is going to be doing
You
doing
had
the
him
wedding.
doing your labor work. It wasn't really hanging out.
That's
Put
That's
this tent
hanging
up.
out with
has
Jeremiah.
anybody met me? That is literally hanging out with me.
Yeah.
You got that from your father.
Jeremiah, this is how the conversation went. Jeremiah called Rex and said, "Hey, Rex, you want to hang out at Danny's house on Thursday?" And Rex said, "Sure, I'll go over there, and Susan will be there to see what the wedding's like."
Could you bring that
And
20
then-
by 40 tent?
Exactly. That's how it went down.
Yeah, Donnie's a very well-established moral. He walked up just as we were done building it and said, "All right, let's go."
Yeah,
He had it
let's
worked
have a
out.
beer. Danny, you want to drive my car? Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Go do
Make sure you get it
burnouts
on
in the
video
rental
and give
car.
it to my wife.
So Danny and Donnie have a story that we will share, and we're not going to let them hold this one back. So if people if they try to retreat from this, we're going to rely on the chat people to fight us back, fight forward. We went to a Bills game, another family reunion. Probably, God, the Colts are still good. So this is probably
They weren't
4
that
years
good.
ago.
They got beat by the Bills.
Well, they were supposed to be good that year, and I think we still made the playoffs. But it's been 3 years ago. Maybe it was
No,
the
it was
first
a shit season.
Yeah,
first
crap season.
First bad season.
Yeah.
That was Rex Ryan's first home game.
So it was
When he took
it
over
was
the
the
team.
opening day.
Opening
Colts
day.
Bills in Buffalo, and I'm like the year before, Donnie, Danny, and I, my dad, Ronnie, all the morals, Dakota. We were like, we're circling it. No matter what day it is, we are going to go. The moral men are going to go watch Colts Bills in Buffalo. And I'm like, I'm just terrified. The schedule's going to come out, and it's going to be like November 5th, and I'm going to freeze to death, and the weather's going to be crap. Comes out, it's opening weekend. I'm like, this is perfect. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. We get to Buffalo. It's 47. It's cloudy. It's rainy.
Yep.
It
was
is
on my anniversary weekend.
Wow.
Were you still celebrating those then?
Well, I was supposed to, but I still went to Buffalo.
And
We knew where that was at.
all fell apart.
He just landed the plane.
Oh, I think the show just ended. That was the end of that. So Danny, I think the game was over. Was the game over and we were in the parking lot, or is it before the game?
You want me to help you out here?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
So Donnie
take
had
over.
this movie.
No.
Oh, different story.
Different story.
Okay.
It wasn't Donnie's movie. It was Mike and Mark's movie. They were living together, so you figure that out. Brian, talk to your brother.
This is when.
This is what we've written down as the hot dog incident with the Bills
Okay,
Mafia.
I forgot completely about it.
I can't believe. How can you forget that?
She got me good.
Yeah. So if anybody, and the people listening to this have probably never been to a Bills game,
No.
and
We've
they
been
don't
to
know
Colts
what
games.
tailgating is really about.
Well, we've gotten better at it with Colts games,
No,
but
they're
it's not
terrible.
the same.
It's awful.
It's not the same.
You have 65-year-old women talking about how great Peyton Manning was and God, Jesus loves you.
Yeah.
That's the Colts.
Just hashtag Bills Mafia on the internet and look at some of those videos, and you'll see what it's like. It is debauchery at its highest level.
The Bills Mafia is approaching Indy 500 infield levels.
Oh,
Approaching.
well, I've never been there. So.
Approaching. Someday.
Wow.
Someday.
So it's there's people are just drunk and doing whatever they're doing, debauchery out in the parking lots, and there's tens of thousands of people around that they party before. Usually, you can go to the RV lot, come in the day before, and start partying.
So Buffalo Stadium, like downtown Indianapolis, is where the Colts Stadium is. You saw that on the way in. It is.
I did.
It is in the heart of the city, or on the south side of the city. Buffalo Stadium is in Orchard Park, which is a suburb, probably
burbs.
25
Yeah,
miles
way
out
out.
of the city.
Yep.
So the stadium and the Bills training facility are just in this residential area, and then you've got just giant parking lots surrounding it. There's nothing else around. There's no bars. There's no place to go. You basically just have to bring your stuff in.
Story for you.
Right.
I'm a
Right.
professional radio host. You need to get up on the mic, Danny.
We
Second-
talked about this already, Danny.
Second,
So
This-
it's so
we have to-
big
we
that
have
the
to-
public.
Yeah.
This
So
is Jeremiah's
it's-
show.
Yes. So it's so big that the public gets involved, and all the people that live around New Era Stadium.
Richfield.
Sure.
Wait, is it?
It's New
Ralph
Era
Wilson?
now. Ralph Wilson. Yeah, it's changed a bunch of times. They
know
actually
how
get
it
in on it. So they'll charge you $25, $30 to park and allow you to just have your debauchery in their backyard. It is
Come on
the
over the house
craziest
and burn
thing
it
to
down.
see houses in the suburbs and they're parking 120 cars.
If you want to burn a
every
couch,
game.
do you have to bring your own, or can you get the one out of the house? And burn
Well,
it?
the thing is, you got to bring your own tables. That's their thing. You have to jump off the top of the car, smash the table.
So when the Bills made the playoffs,
You saw that video?
yeah, your family
Yeah, well,
they reenacted it down in
it was
in
halftime,
Florida.
and the Bills needed some juice. So I painted, "Go Bills" on a table, and I had my son jump off the top of my truck and smash the table. We put it on video. Didn't do him any good.
Didn't
though.
help.
We had Tyrod Taylor, and
Still
that
lost
was-
to the Titans.
Should be
The
better
Titans-
this
the
year,
Titans-
though.
the Jags.
Yeah, God.
You're killing me.
Oh my
All
God.
right, the hot dog story. You want to hear the hot dog
Yes.
story?
All right, let's get into
Oh,
it.
we're back to that. All right.
Yes. Circling back around.
Circle the wagons. Cousin Rick walked out. He's tired of us already.
So we come out of the stadium, and if anybody's ever been to a Bills game, when you come out of the stadium, you don't say anything to anybody. You just walk. If someone's getting beat up, you just walk, because as soon as you stop, you're getting hit. I mean, it is. And I told these guys, take your Indy jerseys.
Yeah, we're
and
wearing
put
Colts
a
stuff.
jacket over on your way out.
I wore a Colts jacket.
Especially if the Bills lose, you're going to get hit with either beer or fists. So just please, let's just take it out. So usually after the game, you don't want to just pull right out because you get stuck in traffic.
Well,
So
no one ever should.
Right. So usually you cook food, you drink some more beer, and so we're sitting there, and we went back to our little camp that we had set up, and so these two women walk by that are just
wasted.
completely drunk, and they walk up and they're like, they they start talking to us, and we're like, who the heck are these people?
Yeah, they're talking
And
about
Danny on his
dad.
anniversary, he's there. And she looks right at Danny or she says, "Hey, can I have a hot dog?" And everyone starts laughing, like, who are these two people? And so someone gives them a raw hot dog on a bun, and they start eating it. Oh, this is so good. Nom, nom. And
A raw hot dog.
It was a
yes,
saline,
that's how
probably,
drunk they were.
so.
And they, for some reason, all of a sudden they snapped and they looked at Danny and they go, "Where are you from?" And he goes, "I'm from Indianapolis." Whack! Smacks him right across the face.
But then she looked at me like she didn't. I didn't know if she wanted to like fight me
Or kiss you.
Yeah, or take me into the van. I couldn't tell. And my dad, he just looks at it and he goes, "Nope, other way."
Walked away.
Yeah, all the older Morrells just turned around and walked to the other side of the camp. The rest of us are watching the train wreck going,
How's this going
what
to happen?
happens
There's
next?
been a lot of times I've deserved to be slapped.
Not
wasn't
that
it.
time, though.
It just came from nowhere.
Yeah.
And she was like a typical Buffalo girl, like mildly pretty.
So,
Oh, God, don't go down that road.
so you got slapped because she obviously knew someone that knew you from India.
Evidently, she goes, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Indy," and she's like, "Indy," and I go, "Appolis." And by the time I got it out of my mouth, she hit me in the face, open-handed.
Was it a hard one?
It was.
It would have taken glasses off your face. Like she
Oh my
slapped
God.
the
It was-
shit
yeah.
out of me.
What did you do to this woman?
I told her where I was from.
He came from Indiana.
Yeah, anybody, like I said, anybody coming out of that stadium, the drunkenness that goes on, people just get hammered on the way out of there, just punched
Cousin
for no other reason other than to have, because they have the opposing team's jersey on.
cousin Brian Morrell was in the chat reporting that she ate several raw hot dogs.
Yes.
So
Nice. I don't even know what to say about this.
I still have a mark.
what's next on the
You
old
do?
show notes,
Let
Dakota?
me see it. Let me see the mark.
It's under the. It's why I had to start growing a beard.
Oh, you poor guy. Dang.
Trying to cover it up.
All right, Donnie, tell me about the time that you dressed up and played in a Kiss cover band.
Yeah. Well, that's my wife. She works for one of the hospitals down there in Southwest Florida, and they had a fundraiser. So I got asked to be Gene Simmons.
Yes.
Yeah. So we got we had four old guys, and then we all decided to do it and made our own costumes. Our wife did the makeup. I mean, it looked pretty. It looked really well. Even made my own shoes, platform shoes, out of sneakers, and painted them black and put big blocks on them. But yeah, it was a good time. We won. It was a real good time.
Yeah, you were. I think that by that time I was friends with you on Facebook.
Yep.
And I kept seeing you post pictures inside your garage of like
You were building
different.
something.
What is this guy doing?
The different things from Hobby Lobby.
Actually, they were from Goodwill. So I'd go
Oh,
to Goodwill,
nice.
and I'd get the shoulder pads, and then I'd go get like Hobby Lobby, the foam triangles.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
How'd you make the shoes?
I took a pair of sneakers that were, and I just took them and drew out. I had some old blocks of wood, so I put two of them together and screwed all the blocks together. And I didn't want the sneakers anymore anyway, so I just screwed the sneakers right onto the blocks, and found an old pair of sandals, and then put the sandal soles right onto the wood, and I had like 6-inch heels.
Yeah, that was
As
awesome.
platform shoes. Yeah.
The costumes, seriously, we might actually have to find a picture of those and post them on our Facebook page because it was good. You guys did a good
My
job.
wife and the other guys' wives and the makeup that they did for us. Oh my God.
It looked fantastic
It
from
did.
the photos that I saw.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, that was
That was a
incredible.
really good time.
So, okay, I want to know a little bit more about being a helicopter medic.
Okay.
I want to know how much more difficult exactly is it than being just in an ambulance?
Okay. Well, everybody starts in that realm.
So that's how you get to it. You start in an ambulance,
Well-
or you start in an ER. I don't know how any of it works.
So our most medevacs crew configurations are one pilot, one nurse, one medic. And you go to school. The nurses on their side, like 3 years or more, either in an ER or an ICU. Kind of busy. And then they'll come to the company with all of their, I call them the alphabet
That was
soup
the
classes.
badass sniff, by the way.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a badass.
Yeah.
Got it.
Stop. God, you're killing me here. Listen, I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else does.
I use both legs.
Oh, well, that's because you're special.
I thought this was
the
supposed
Ronnie
to be a
saves
roast
lives.
on Jeremiah.
Not
Not
don't
a roast
worry.
on Donnie.
We are going to circle back to that.
Okay, good.
Oh, well, we just ran out of time.
Yeah, so, most of the guys we get are, let me just put it this way. The people that I work with and I've worked with for the last 6 years, they're tip of the spear people. They're A-type personalities. They've been doing this a long time. Frankly, they're a lot better than some of the ER doctors that I've worked with.
Wow.
I mean, the things that they can do and the procedures that they can do and how they take care of patients, how they look at problems and solve them immediately.
It impresses me so much with how little you may have in an ambulance that you use, and I took a tour of one once for day camp at church, and we walked through with the kids. And you look in there, and there's you've got to have basically a full operating room in there if somebody needs something on the way to another place, and
So
it's just crazy how quickly they know. Okay, I need this, this, and this for this patient, so I can treat them.
I mean, on a serious note. What we do it's super important. I mean, for trauma patients, we're getting them where they have to go without the middle step.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
forever it was always take the patients to the local ER, they'll get them stabilized, we'll put them on an ambulance, and we'll take them to the trauma center. Now we can get people within an hour to that trauma center. So you can get someone's going to be getting blood. They're going to be getting blood products, plasma, TXA, fluids. If they need some kind of procedures like putting a chest tube in, we do that.
Really?
Oh,
On the road while they're rolling.
yeah.
So you drop like a draining the lungs or whatever kind of chest tube, or where's the chest tube going?
So right here. So you just make a slice on either side, and then you insert the tube. It's for someone that has like a hemothorax or pneumothorax, which is
I went to business school, so I need more.
okay. Let me help you out. So if one of your lungs burst,
Yes.
okay, like a balloon. So if you have a balloon inside of an enclosed cavity, the blood and the air that comes out of that lung is now pushing against the rest of the cavity, which pushes on the heart that doesn't allow it to beat.
Okay.
So what you want to do is relieve that pressure.
And you
to
relieve
save
that
their
pressure,
life.
and then you're putting you're
And you
pumping
put a
oxygen
tube
back
in. Well, no, you put a tube in to drain all of that out.
Right.
Then you put a tube down their throat and put positive pressure down there, and it
Yep.
reinflates the lung.
Gotcha. I want to welcome Rick to the microphone on the other side.
Hello.
He's covered. Danny had to step out for some reason. Apparently, the Budweiser supply ran out. What are you drinking over there, cousin Rick?
I'm also having a Budweiser. I had a question for Donnie, though.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's like an example of a cutoff thing, like open heart surgery?
We don't do open heart surgery.
At what point do you just say, we can't go any further on this in a helicopter?
We don't.
You'll try some weird shit.
You'll try some weird shit.
So even if we got to the roadside and somebody's heart had already stopped and they're already doing CPR on them, we actually have devices that we put on them that will do the CPR for us while we're doing the rest of those things.
Yeah, those are incredible.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
have
And
a-
then we'll get them to the trauma center. And the thing is, blood and giving blood products and fluids and TXA is a game changer. It used to be cold
guys
steel,
have-
bright lights, and surgeons. Now that's the adjunct to get them to keep them alive long enough to get to those surgeons.
So do you guys have like all the different blood types sitting on there ready to go, or is it just O negative and that's what
We
you,
have
what
2
you
O
follow?
negatives, 2 O positives, and plasma.
You do a quick blood test to see what's going on?
Nope.
Or how do you know? Like, how do you know if it's O positive or O negative?
Okay, so the females usually get the O negative because of the RH factor in it.
Okay.
Because it's the universal donor.
Right.
So-
Well, yeah, O negative
so-
anybody can have. O positive, though, you've got to have the positive.
Right. So if a woman is childbearing age, they'll get the O negative.
Okay.
If we've gotten to the point where we've given all that blood and we have to go get into the O positive to keep them alive, we'll actually let the receiving hospital know that we've given them O positive, and then they'll give the correct medications to
deal
reverse
with
those
it.
effects. Yep.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
If they weren't a positive.
Right.
If
I
they're
didn't
A
even-
positive, then it's no big deal.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
I didn't even know that medication for that existed.
I didn't either.
How does that?
I give blood every time I'm available to.
Do you really?
Yeah.
What's your blood type?
O positive.
Oh, well. You're pretty.
I'm on the plane.
I'm not good enough.
Helicopter, excuse me.
I'm not good enough to give blood.
Sarah's tried to give blood a number of times. And her
At
veins
least
don't
twice. My veins are too small. They can never find one that's big enough.
Those are big. I'll tell you, those are big catheters they use.
Yeah.
It's probably because of the heroin.
Work. Yeah.
I don't do heroin, so that'd be really hard.
You never know.
you-
Not
you-
currently.
Sarah's
Right.
got us peeking over here.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, she's not.
It's my
hooked up.
booming voice.
I did notice on some of the notes here that you're talking about calls that we've been on that you'd like to talk about and things like that. That's so I've been doing it since 1992. A lot of things keep me up at night. Absolutely.
Was 1992 when Columbus sailed the ocean blue?
Wow, you're killing me
About
here.
500 years late.
No,
And,
but
and
I was in elementary school, and I distinctly remember my elementary school teacher writing 1992 and explaining that to me at the time. That was 4 years before Dakota was born, and 2
That was
years
the-
after Sarah was born.
Yep.
The year that my dad graduated high school.
Your dad and I were in school at the same time. Jump out of a third-story building.
So anyway, there's a lot of things that keep me up at night still. I mean, it's been how many years? I mean, we're working on 26, 27. So, and I see that your sister's now getting married to a firefighter.
She is. We've got a dog trying to break into the studio.
Hank's trying to break in.
Hey, Dakota, we need a new studio, man.
Yeah, I think we do too.
Let's make that happen. So yeah, my baby sister got engaged last month, and June of next year, Hannah's marrying the amazing Stephen Davis, who's a fireman down in Shelby County.
I think that a really good date for Stephen to have proposed would have been July 7th of this year.
I disagree.
Still in the thunder.
I like June 10th
Honestly,
or
What
whatever
could be
day it was.
more romantic than that?
I'm worried that Stephen
you can't.
Davis is going to
No.
go with it. I think not Stephen Davis. I'm very concerned that Chase Payton's going to do it on 7/7.
I would imagine. Yeah.
It's going to be like the.
He needs to wait till about 7, 8.
It's going to be like Andy Bernard. It'll be like the moment just felt right, and then he pops down on the knee just before the garter toss.
Yeah.
Chase, if you
As
do
long
that,
as long as it's not during the ceremony, I'll be okay.
Chase, if you do that, we're never going fishing again. Sarah will forbid it.
Sarah's not your boss.
I'm just saying. She'll take
Not
away,
yet.
She'll take
So,
away your fishing privileges.
Sarah, one thing I wanted to talk about with you was what part of Jeremiah's house are you going to remodel when you become the queen?
The first thing that needs to be remodeled, honestly, would be the master bathroom. The wallpaper is awful.
It's not remodeling. That's redecorating.
That's redecorating, really. I don't know. We do want to have the floors redone in the kitchen. That would be nice. That was
What's
cool.
your budget? About $12,000?
About $40.
It's whatever we can get Rex and Aaron to team up on. No.
Sarah
the
went
floor,
to the Jeremiah Morrell free labor school.
the floor in
hey,
the
we're
kitchen.
having a house party. Next thing you know, hey, we're ripping out a subfloor.
That would be fun. It sounds like a great time. But the
Did you
floor
hear
in the
that would
kitchen's
be
a little
fun?
uneven. So it'd be nice to have a nice flat surface because, as Jeremiah already knows, I spent a lot of time in there. So,
Barefoot.
In the kitchen?
yeah, not pregnant.
Oh,
Not yet. Maybe next week.
Maybe next week.
I got tricked into installing Jared's sub pump actually that way.
Yeah. Everybody
That's
has a war
definitely
Here,
a
come up
thing.
with your
Yeah, that's a
Nardos.
thing.
Cousin Rick. I didn't even own the house yet at that point, Rick.
And the
You mean
Mexicans
he-
across the street were making fun of us. They thought it was hilarious.
That we were doing their work.
Yeah.
He dragged you all the way from Illinois just to put a sump pump in.
I believe that was Indy 500 weekend. He makes the journey every single year for
Yeah.
Indy 500 weekend with
It's like
me.
going to Mecca.
Yeah, it's this is okay. We're gonna call total audible. Rick, cousin Rick's on the show, and he makes the trip for the Indy 500 every year. Explain to Dakota what he misses.
Show him the pictures, Nick.
We've already
Danny.
had multiple.
Actually, I've lost those pictures, Danny, and someone's been not very helpful in getting them replaced.
You need to be using the microphone for the folks that are watching to listen. Why do you go? You don't care about race cars. Why do you come to Indiana every May?
I go for the party.
Yeah,
I go people watching. I've watched maybe the cars go by once in 4 years.
it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in the race.
He likes to see things in pairs a lot.
Yeah, so like if they go neck and neck around the corner,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
They go so fast.
Exciting.
It's like NPR with Nick or Rick.
NPR with Rick.
Didn't take long.
His name is Rick Riven German. That's the that is his official name on the show.
Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Rick Riven German.
That's
His
right. You
name-
got the pronunciation right too. That's
His
great.
name is my name too. Whenever we go out,
Yeah, Alan Millerini is in the chat. He wants to know, there's a race that weekend? He goes for the show, too. All right. So, should we move
Alan's
on?
wife got a show.
Holy hell.
oh my god!
Yeah, Alan's wife got a show this last year at the track.
Danny has borrowed Sarah's microphone, and we apologize to everybody listening. That was terrifying.
No, I'm just leaving it at that.
Oh, that was the story.
That was the joke.
A fragmented sentence.
All right.
Good story.
In the world of news, we're going to turn to Dakota Davis and check in on the news desk and what's happened this week, because we do pretend to be a show that delivers you some news.
Yeah, we try to. It's only been 50 minutes without any news stories, but
44 on the podcast
I enjoy talking
feed.
to Donnie, and I'm excited to hear his story afterwards.
Yeah,
but
of course.
the Libertarian Party National Convention. Jeremiah, did we go to that? Being the Libertarians as high up in the food chain as we are.
So Sarah Potter was railing on me last fall. When are we going to make our convention tickets? When are we going to go to the national convention? Are we going to buy these tickets? And I'm like, girl, you're going to be engaged by then. You don't even know. So stop asking. You just keep picking at me. And so we never bought our tickets. That's why we
I
didn't
was
go.
ready to swipe my card and
Yeah.
get my ticket.
Spend big
so
money.
We go to NOLA.
You wanted to buy the early pre-ticket so that we could.
we got to
could be
save
cheap.
those pennies where we can.
First string
Well,
Potter.
I will tell you one thing. I saw James Weeks II stripped naked during the 2016 convention. I saw it on video, and I decided then that I had zero desire to go to the national convention.
You and I had talked about going together. We
Yeah,
talked,
we
at one
talked
point,
about
we talked
it,
about
and
making
then-
it a trip and having some fun.
It was kind of like the Indy 500. The more I thought about it, the more I just didn't want to go.
Nope.
I mean,
I watched probably 60 to 70% of the national convention on the Libertarian Party's Facebook feed. It's
Yep.
a 4-day convention, and it's a business meeting. And I determined two things. One, it is absolute horror to have to go and sit through it. Two, I think I hate every single delegate Michigan sends. Like the state of Michigan, everybody they sends is a train wreck. They've got a communist who ran for national chairman. They have a guy who got arrested running for Congress and as a protester.
okay, Jeremiah, he's an anarcho-communist.
It's the same. I don't need buckets
All
that are that
communists are
defined.
communists.
All communists are communist. They have the guy that was we'll just use the word. There was a guy that was waving around dildos, a guy named Jeff Wood, who apparently thought that would help us win elections. There was the guy who stripped naked last year or 2 years ago, and then there was another guy that just was disgusting. Apparently, I heard about that one later.
It was the same guy waving things around.
No, it's a different guy.
It's a different
Yeah,
guy?
No,
yeah.
different
Rex and Susan,
disgusting
Oh, it was
Rex
just
and
the
Susan
way he
explained
ate.
it.
Was he
Yes.
from Buffalo?
Okay.
No, they're all Michigan people.
And then threw it on the field as Tom Brady was running into the end zone.
So yeah, the people from Michigan. Now, unfortunately, they're like they call themselves the Audacious Caucus or whatever, and they think that being crazy and getting attention
Okay.
is going to help.
So let's get into that. We had, 840 delegates at the Libertarian National Convention?
Yeah, because every
Why
state
are
has.
we divided into caucuses as a national party that's that small?
Well, they're not that small. They could send many more, but
Right.
each state has an allocation, so they could have sent 5,000 people. But
Yeah,
there's
but
only so many
that-
delegate spots available.
That's how many delegates. Yeah, exactly. But we're still, I mean, why you don't hear about these radical caucuses even in the Republican Party? You hear about
you
like
hear about
two major caucuses
You
in
hear
the
about it
Libertarian
in Congress.
Party.
I don't know
Yeah.
on the congressional, like on the
On the
national
party
convention
level.
side. I don't know.
It's I hate all of it. We
So they had their elections. We're going in.
yeah.
And Nick Sarwark is the chairman, and he was seeking his third term as chair. He was elected at the one national convention I attended. They were in Columbus, Ohio, about 4 years ago. I attended that one, and Nick was elected to be chairman, and then he was reelected in Orlando, and then this time in New Orleans, he was reelected again. It was like 65%. He had a huge landslide over a guy named Josh Smith, and then another dude, and then I guess the socialist ran, and he had nobody. He literally in the debate, that was the other thing. The socialist didn't even want to win. He's like, don't vote for me. He can't afford to travel. He can't afford to go to this stuff. He's like, all right, don't vote for me. Well, you're an embarrassment. Whatever.
Is he just a paper candidate?
No,
Yeah.
he was
Well-
trying to run just to get the time to explain his ridiculous views.
Yeah, so the Libertarian Party, it's the Libertarian Party Socialist Caucus,
Yes.
which it seems like some sort of an enigma. because they seem to
an
be
oxymoron.
mutually exclusive
Yeah, absolutely.
in names. So that's what was interesting, is because he literally ran so that he could go up and he could get the airtime behind the podium to advertise that
Libertarian
caucus.
socialism.
So, because obviously everybody's like, these people are idiots, and we shouldn't even send them at all to the.
Those two words don't even go together.
No.
Okay. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's why I'm saying they're totally mutually exclusive. They don't work. But he wanted. That's the entire reason he ran, and he legitimately didn't want to get elected. But the highly contested race was between Joshua Smith. Well, it was the race, but the two top people were Joshua Smith and the current chair, Nick Sarwark.
Yeah, so Josh Smith traveled around to like 17 states.
Yes.
And I met him at our state convention. He attended that.
We made him juggle.
He juggled for me on Snapchat. It was on my
best.
Snapchat story. He seemed like a good dude. I'd never met
Very
him before.
nice guy.
Yeah, he was definitely a dude that I'd sit down and have beers with. But
Absolutely.
I'm glad that Nick is the chairman again. Nick is very pragmatic. Nick is a very stoic individual. He's not radical by any sense of the word, and he just isn't going to be an embarrassment.
Watching that 4-day convention or 3-day convention on YouTube, there are so many people that go to a microphone and want to sound like the smartest guy in the room, and they have a point of information or a point of personal privilege. The job that Nick Sarwark does, I would want to just. It was horrifying.
I would hate it. I would hate every minute of it.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine ever being in that position. I couldn't imagine taking Tim McGuire's position.
He's the state
on the
chairman in
state
Indiana.
level. So, the second good piece of information that came out was Alex Merced. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Sarah says it's Merced, so it's Merced.
Merced, not Merced.
My understanding.
At least
he's,
that's how
all
the
right.
Lions of Liberty pronounce
he's
it.
a New Yorker.
Okay, we'll follow their lead. But he was elected as the vice chair. Why is that big news?
Because his
Why
name
are
is
we
not
excited?
Arvin Vora.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Arvin was the vice chairman who served for a few years, and in the last year, he decided he wanted to get attention, and he did some. He was very, very abrasive on purpose and did nothing but hurt our candidates, in my view. So
absolutely, he did.
Arvin ran, and I think he finished 4th against that James Weeks dude. Decided he was going to run too. Arvin beat him. That was the only guy he beat. He beat Noda and the naked guy, and that was it. So they were basically Arvin was running for re-election. Alex Merced ran from New York State. He was a former U.S. Senate candidate, and I think he's involved in a number of
He has
other
a podcast.
Yeah, he's got a podcast. Man, as podcasters, maybe we should run. Except it would be terrible. And then Joe Hauptman and Sam Goldstein ran for vice chairman as
Both
well.
They did.
leaders.
Two Indiana people.
Libertarian guys, and they are Indiana guys, and they did very well. Joe wound up finishing 2nd, and Sam was 3rd. They both traveled. I think Joe spent a little more time traveling the state in the debates.
Joe traveled, and Joe did tremendously well in the debates.
Yeah.
He
He
presented
did.
himself. He presented his ideas and his own strong suits very, very well. I was really impressed with Joe. I really enjoyed listening to him behind the podium.
One of these days, we need to get Joe back on the show. We've
that
had
would
Sam
be a good
Gold, we've had Tim McGuire on, and Joe's offered. We've not had Joe on yet. One of these days, we'll schedule Joe on the show.
I was on We Are Libertarians with Joe
Yeah.
at one time. So
You remember what wall episode that was?
I have no idea. That was a long time ago. That was
something?
whenever Greg Lenz was still a co-host.
Oh man,
Yeah,
Rest
a
in peace.
long time
Something?
ago.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's dead now.
Yeah.
R.I.P. in peace.
Oh, rest in peace.
And then Sam Goldstein didn't win the vice chair race, but he is on the LNC, so the Libertarian National Committee. He was elected at large. So congratulations, Sam. He was the #1 vote getter by the way. And then I accidentally trolled Spangle. Did you hear about that one?
Yeah, that was that was hilarious.
There's a lady named Mary Ruart from Texas who meant to nominate another guy named Chris Thatcher for the Libertarian National Convention.
I think you're going to
Committee.
tell this story again in a couple weeks.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, I think you're going to tell this story. I'm
Oh,
going to look into my crystal ball, and I bet that on episode 69 you tell this exact story.
Oh, maybe you guys should wait for that. just know that it was the greatest troll job in the history of New Orleans, and he should have accepted.
It was a good one.
And Michael Schulteis is my minion.
All right.
Thank you, Michael.
One other interesting thing that happened during the Libertarian Party National Convention was apparently we found out that Ron Paul is still racist. We knew that he was racist after the controversial
All the
newsletters
libertarians
that
just
came
tuned
out.
out. You can't say anything bad about Uncle Ron.
I'm doing this so that we can put a clickbait title in that says, "Is Ron Paul racist?"
At 55 minutes, they're going to come in. They're going to be like, why did I have to watch a family reunion to hear about you talking about Ron Paul being racist
I'll just
finally?
clip that part of the video like I did with Steve Horwitz.
All right.
Or Horwitz, sorry. But I found out about it actually because of Steve Horwitz. And what Ron Paul did was he made a tweet that was calling out cultural Marxism on American campuses.
Cousin Rick, do you know who Ron Paul is?
I'm well versed on this story, more so than I should probably be.
He's well versed on this particular story because I about guarantee that I've been in the threads that you've been in at the same times. So
Here's my thing, Dr. Paul. We'll have to Google. Well, I'm going to Google his age while we're looking here. I am not convinced he's running his own Twitter account.
he's about
None
106
of
years
them
old.
run their own Twitter
I don't think
accounts.
that the man has a smartphone.
I think Thomas Massey runs his own Twitter account, but I really don't think that Ron Paul runs his own.
No,
he just
not at a
plays
national
Snake
level.
on his
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
Ron Paul was born.
Just play Snake.
Just plays Snake.
Ron Paul is 82 years old. He's born in 1935. There is no way.
Good
So
God.
he's getting blamed, and he could have been president. He's getting blamed for this tweet, and I think it's a staffer. And I know that he, in the 70s or 80s, he had some involvement with some newspapers that were considered to be racist or whatever, which, neither here nor there. But I don't know that he did this.
I'm sure he told an intern to, hey, I want to make a tweet about cultural Marxism. Grab me a meme. And
Yep.
if you type in cultural Marxism meme, it's the internet. You're going to get something like this.
So the crap, who's the comic that made the image? Do you remember his
That
name?
made that image?
Yeah.
I doubt
Well,
he's working if he's
Hitler?
named.
No, I'm talking about the guy that made the original one, not the one that it's David.
Oh, is that
something.
a riff on something else?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not
Yeah,
so well versed then.
that is the one that he posted was an edited version by crap. I can't think of this.
It wasn't Ben Garrison either, though. He said that was...
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Ben Garrison drew the original comic.
Okay.
So Ben Garrison,
This stuff gets hijacked all the time.
he is a conservative, very right wing cartoonist, and his picture was a bunch of women in a line. And they had their fist going forward, and it had the communist hammer and sickle, and it said cultural Marxism, and it was punching Uncle Sam in the face. Well,
With a right or a left?
Right.
yeah, I don't remember.
Okay. Just curious.
Right. Yeah,
I didn't know
right.
what strong hand was.
You're right.
It was the right
Southpaw.
hand. But the dogs are barking at Sarah. What the edited image was a bunch of caricatures of like the meme supposedly Jewish guy who's like rubbing his hands.
Right.
You had the Asian caricature, which was overtly racist. His skin was actually yellow in that one. And then you had a caricature of a black man. So they were all posted over the pictures, blaming all of these minority groups for projecting cultural Marxism in America. And that was the image that was used. That was the image that was picked. And it was like,
Can't defend it.
no, you can't defend that at
defend it.
all. And it was, and I had the same thought. I was like, okay, well, obviously Ron Paul doesn't run his own Twitter account like that.
I just left it there, I guess. I didn't dig into it, and the guy's 82, right? I mean, at this point, he's not in Congress. He's a figurehead to me.
Does he even know
Right.
what Twitter is?
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's attached to a brand, and you have to run your brand.
Yeah, but at this point,
Yeah,
the guy's brand is
exactly.
selling gold bars to senior citizens. Like, I don't.
That is legitimately his brand now. But I thought about it, and I wanted to leave it there, but then I kept looking at it more and more. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? The man has got a blue check mark by his name. Like, there are literally millions of people across
Okay.
the United States who pay attention to
Let's
what
be
he
honest.
says.
You just finally followed me back on Twitter. If you're that angry about not having a blue check mark on Twitter, maybe you need to try harder and not be mad at Uncle Ron Paul.
I'm going to be slamming Ron Paul until I get a blue check mark on Twitter.
Have you
The
tried?
real problem
have
is
you-
Rand Paul.
Have you tried renaming? Have you tried renaming yourself the real Dakota Davis on Twitter like you did on Instagram?
I did on Instagram, and they'd haven't verified me either.
Already? You've been on Instagram for 4 days.
Well, you know what? My people reached out to them. No blue check mark.
Yeah, it hasn't gone well so far. I tried.
Yeah, it's horrible. You can't reach these people.
Did you show
They're
them the-
brainwashed by cultural Marxists.
Did
Have
you
you
show
tried
them-
endorsing Marxism?
What?
Have you tried endorsing Marxism?
Oh
that
my
might,
God.
yeah, that might actually help.
Have you
Because
tried?
those guys get away with everything,
You think?
and they're all blue checks.
Ask Carl.
They do all have blue checks.
Have you tried?
Owen Benjamin
showing-
doesn't have a blue check anymore.
Have you tried showing them the
He doesn't have
T-shirt
anything. He's
that
been
you have?
gulagged.
Yeah, he's thrown in the gulag.
Your
they
local
took him
celebrity
over.
T-shirt.
Oh, Big Bear.
Yeah. Oh, Big Bear.
Cousin Rick spends a
Who
lot of
stole his
time.
bike?
Cousin Rick spends a lot of time running Reddit. Nobody knows
That's
it.
Justin Trudeau. In the latest edit, it's
Hey.
Justin Trudeau.
Hey, half the people in this room were born 3 miles from Canada, so be careful.
Oh,
I can
man.
sneak you in there illegally.
We've Danny and I have made landfall in Canada without passports before. Took a picture and left.
I think I swam into international waters when I visited.
We told you that once. Maybe it was international water.
Was it illegally?
Maybe you made it up, and
That
I'm living
was
a
the
lie.
graph.
Was it illegal? Were you separated from your family?
Yeah, actually,
took-
yeah, I guess that was
Wow.
kind of.
We took Nick out on Barnhart Island and swam past a rock. I'm like, hey, we're in Canada now.
I was pumped about it for about 30 years
Are you serious?
until right now.
You had to go like another 5-6 miles.
Yeah,
to get into
this is
Canada.
kind of soul crushing to do. Live.
No, Nick. You were in Canada.
I was in
buddy.
Canada. I was in Canada.
That's pretty good.
It was a good weekend until now. And now, Nick, I may need an extra groomsman.
Yeah, fairly large one. If the tux is right.
How's that fit?
like 6 extra jackets.
Oh, cousin Rick has got me sweating bullets. Sarah doesn't even know yet. He's not yet.
What an awesome time to announce it.
He's not yet opened up the suit and checked it to see how it fits.
You just might not be in photos.
Yeah.
Dakota will have to walk down with 2 ladies.
Maybe that might happen.
Sarah is talking without a microphone.
I have
this
a pair of
point-
gray pants that we can
One
shove
on each
you
side.
There we go.
2 girls for every guy.
See, here's the thing,
That
though.
would be a good song.
when you're like
Oh,
2
God.
days away from your wedding, you really just stop caring. You're like, I'll get married at the end of the day. I'll be fine. We'll have a party afterwards. We'll get to see friends and family.
Yeah,
And
Photoshop
then
is
you're just
amazing.
like,
we'll
oh,
fix all the time.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Poor Matt Gallegos is
It's
going to have
all
all kinds of work because Nick couldn't take something out of a bag. Rick couldn't take something out of a bag.
It was in a
Rick?
box.
You haven't even taken it out of the box yet?
No, I told you I wanted you to see me break the seal.
God.
You
He
haven't even
wants you
cut
to
the tape.
watch.
Do it Saturday.
He will be the wrinkled groomsman.
Right.
Like I said,
I really
my dad
hope-
has like 3 extra jackets because they sent him. So he's like, I need a 48 short. And whenever they sent him a jacket, it was like a 42. And he's like, no, he took a picture of it there's like 6 inches between each button. Obviously, you need a little bit more. No, that's not 6 inches. And that's definitely not what, yeah.
Is this what normally happens when Danny comes in?
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
Danny's a train wreck.
So he ordered another jacket. He's like, I need a larger jacket. Send in the pictures because that's what you do with this tux company, the Brisket Tux.
The black tux.
Okay, the black tux.
We use their name.
Okay, cool. And so my dad sends photos and he gets the jacket back and instead of a 42, it's a 40. So now it's 8 inches too small. And he's like, I need a 48 short. Like, I know what I need. I've tried on jackets before. And so they sent him the right jacket. He's going to be good to go for Saturday.
Now, I feel like Cousin Rick's going to be okay, though. He did get professionally measured, so I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
By you or by someone else?
No, he got
Well,
professionally measured.
They did it for free, but I tipped. I tipped
Very
my
nice.
measurer.
Very nice.
Tell her to. What kind of tip?
$5.
Just the tip? Was it just the tip?
No more burnouts.
only
I already
the
got in
tip.
trouble.
Oh, man. There are Budweisers flying across the camera. We have a
Yankees.
couple more things we're supposed to
Is that like a
knock
sponsor?
off the list. Not yet. But if they want to reach out, we do have a studio to pay for. Or if there's any local business watching us, hit us up on the DMs and we have some conversations to have.
I hope there's no local businesses watching this episode.
It's a really good beer.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. This is the kind of fun episode that I want them. I want a company that's going to sponsor the show to be comfortable with this sort of a thing.
I want them to be comfortable with it, but I only want them to listen to the part where we read off their name.
We might have crossed off the wrong thing. Budweiser's
Yeah, that's right.
sponsorship.
All right, let's get into the next topic, and that is Walmart, and they had released some T-shirts for men. They were like basketball type jerseys, and they said impeach where the last name would be. What are you doing to me, Jeremiah?
I'm making adjustments.
Jeremiah, I had this all
He's
fixed,
turning
and now you
knobs.
come in here and you start turning on knobs.
Pretty soon, I'll be complaining again about how quiet the podcast is
Yep,
compared to
that's
the
right.
bumpers.
Sarah, every week I work on this, and then every week your fiance.
Do you have
comes
any
in and
idea
turns
what it's like
knobs.
to have 6 co-hosts that are holding microphones at different levels today?
Well,
In
I do.
45.
I do know what it's like because I have headphones on. But anyway,
MAGA. Yes.
Oh man,
I just like to make fun of Maxine Waters.
Walmart made the T-shirts. Said impeach 45. They also made baby onesies that said it. How weird is that?
Does anyone
My
else think
child
it's
will not have political beliefs at that age.
they will do whatever we say.
maybe?
You don't know. They can't talk.
Does anyone else think it's cooler that they call him 45 and that it's not at all?
That's it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Is he
Like
not-
45. It sounds cool.
What number is he?
He's the
He's
45th.
45th.
Right.
But they call him 45 because they don't want to say President Trump.
Who's that? Who's they?
It's the resistance they.
Yeah, Maxine
So
Waters.
anyways, they think that that's like holding him back. I think that sounds way cooler.
I agree with you.
Call me
I think it
45.
does sound
I'm going to
cool.
be all about it.
I don't even really like Trump, but I do agree that it sounds cooler.
I like Trump.
Okay, I know you do.
Does any of this worry you guys at all? Like,
Somebody
I
let a
watch
dog
Bill
in the
Maher.
studio.
I never watch this show, but I turn the TV on. the
No,
other
only
night,
family watches this.
and then
They all know.
no. I mean, seriously, Bill Maher was on with Michael Moore, and it was right near the end of the show. Hi, puppy.
Hey, if you,
I think
And
Way to go,
they're
Dan.
talking. I mean, they're practically talking about open warfare between the two sides.
yeah,
I mean, how did we get to this point?
there's legitimate. I know there was like and trending on Twitter today was it was Civil War #2 letters. Okay, and it was a joke, right? So those are supposed to be jokes, but there are legitimate talks.
so. Your boy Alex Jones
by legitimate people.
he sent out some sort of ill-advised, unnecessary. There's the Civil War II. He made some
Right, but
some
Alex
predictions
Jones, Alex
for
Jones
July
wasn't the first
4th.
person to bring this up. There was a mainstream article, I think it was in the Washington Post, about how currently in America the United States is experiencing what's called a soft civil war by foreign relations experts.
But your boy Alex said he was going to do it and it was going to happen on Independence Day.
Yeah, well, he had this conspiracy theory that there was going to be that leftists were planning on attacking major American cities.
I think that came from the QAnon stuff, which I'm not into.
That was never. So that's where the joke side came from. But there are legitimate reporters and legitimate media outlets that have been talking about this.
Is this a lot like
Or longer.
when Cousin Rick almost didn't come to your bachelor party because there was going to be a purge?
Yes.
Hey,
Right.
my house is still booby trapped from that.
Wait. Cousin Rick, did you get a present like after you got back from the bachelor party?
From my bachelor party.
There was an empty jar.
Did
on my
it
front lawn.
did it come back filled by any chance?
No,
Dang it.
we're out of season on the.
That's a shame.
I don't know
Did
what
you have
this
a
is about.
balloon? Was there a balloon attached?
Yeah, none of it was attached though. When I got to it, it was a jar
The look on Sarah's face
and a
is not good.
balloon, and then way down at the end of the house, there was a card,
It must have been blown away.
mostly illegible.
It's a shame.
So when I
But I knew I was going to disappoint someone when I showed up with no honey this week. I just didn't know who it was.
It's okay.
did you not sign your name?
Speaking
It
of,
was illegible.
speaking bachelor party,
No more.
Jeremiah's bachelor party.
We ran out of time.
My favorite part of that was when Nick goes,
Rick.
cousin Rick, to the waitress that served
Is
you.
this Barstool?
Yeah, that
Okay,
that
just making
served
sure.
you 3 glasses of Fireball. Yeah. When Nick tells the bartender,
Rick.
I have a crush on your face.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
We got
Yep.
doubles all the way around. Doubles became quadruples for Jared.
I hear you think I have a nice butt. I also have a crush on your face.
Yeah, that was good. I tell that story all the time. That was my favorite moment.
I
by
wonder
far.
if she does.
I don't know. I don't.
I think about her sometimes.
I've got a feeling she probably doesn't care about you. Unless you love that one. We're having a show meeting right now.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about that story.
Oh, we're already.
That's what I mean.
We're
an-
already at.
we're an hour
freaking
8.
Final thoughts
And we got
here.
47 people to do final thoughts with.
I know. We're already there, man.
All right. Good enough.
It's time.
All right. Let's start to initiate final thoughts and see how we do. You're listening to the Boss Hog Liberty podcast. It's Jeremiah Morrell, Dakota Davis, Danny Morrell, Donnie Morrell, Sarah Potter, to be Morrell, and cousin Rick
German.
Riven.
What will it be this
German.
time?
Rick Riven German. That's the list.
It's the official name.
All right, Donnie, have you
Good to
watched
be
enough
here.
to know what Final Thoughts is? This is your chance to promote things.
No.
Things
I
you
haven't.
care about. You never make it to the
There
end.
is one thing, and we were going to talk about that story that we were, and it circles back. Not that
The
story.
video story?
Dang
not the video
it.
story.
I
Different
want
story.
to hear it so bad, Donnie.
In all seriousness,
Do them like you did Donnie. That's one of
No,
my
no.
favorite Bob and Tom bits.
Good God. Anyway, on a serious note,
Yes.
anybody that's been doing this side of the business for as many years as I have,
When you say the business, you mean the industry?
the industry,
Yes.
emergency services, so it's police, fire, rescue, even ER stuff. One of the things that we don't really call attention to is PTSD and suicides by firefighters, paramedics, police officers, soldiers coming back from war. There's a Code Green campaign that it actually is out there that draws attention to what goes on, and to circle back to those stories. That's one thing you really never ask somebody that's been doing this job, because there are so many. There are so many things that you have to see when you do this job, and it's just part of it.
Yeah, so we have at work we do emergency training. I have a fairly dangerous job, so we all get emergency medically trained by a former air medic from the Marine Corps, I guess. I don't know, some branch of the military, and the stories that man has to tell are insane, like absolutely, like jaw dropping. And he ended up leaving the military and he ran an ambulance, and that's what a lot of the stories are from. So it's just like, you know, most people you see in an ambulance driving down the road, or you hear, oh man, somebody got lifeline to the hospital, and you don't really think about like what all goes into that. I don't really think about that ever. And then we were writing the show notes, and I thought that you were a pilot, so I was like, man, I wonder what what entails in the helicopter, like what's going on inside that helicopter. And then you told me that you were a medic, and I was like, ooh, maybe I should take out the question. But I left it in there.
And the thing is that lay people don't understand any of that. And to the things that most of us have seen have been doing it this long, the worst thing you could ever think of to see how human bodies can get turned into what they get turned into, you see it all.
Ooh.
And I can tell you that there was this crisis, a critical incident stress debriefing team that came in after we, and being in Messina, we had a big house fire and lost a bunch of kids. And if I hadn't had those guys come in and talk to all the folks and to see the reactions, and that's why I brought up your sister and her future husband.
Yep.
All of these guys that are coming into this business now need to learn this training, and the training is you need to know what your body is going to go through every time you have one of these major events. So if you have, you lose a child, if you name it, okay, you name it,
Well,
something
with the
horrible.
volunteer firefighters, like it's all people they know. In a
That's the
small town.
problem with living in a small
It's
town
hard.
is you know the people that you're going to pick up.
Exactly.
But this the critical incident stress debriefing team, they actually came in and said, you're going to be sick to your stomach. You're not going to eat for days. You're not going to sleep. These are the stages of grief. And they walk you through it. And it's funny because after all these years, I just, I had a couple things happen in the recent history. And I was like, okay, well, I know I'm not going to sleep tonight. I know I'm going to feel like crap for a couple days. I know my appetite's going to go down, and I'm not going to want to talk to my wife, or, and you know those things are coming. And then 48 hours later, 96 hours later, okay, I'm good. All right, let's move on. Let's trudge on to the next one. So,
It takes a very strong human to do that.
well, I can tell you that if the guys that do this job, if they're given that training right at the beginning, because again, we go back to A-type personality, tip of the spear people, pipe hitters, like these guys, they all march in there. We don't ever need any help from anybody.
Right.
And those are the guys that after 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, they are gone. Like they never come back to the business. The ones that understand what's going to happen to them physiologically, mentally, psychologically, they know what's going to happen to them after seeing these things and these events. They can circle back and say, all right, this is what's going to happen. And smell is, part of the training is smell. And you would be amazed what triggers horrible events in your head, like recall, the smell of antifreeze. You never would have thought of it.
Because of a car crash.
Because of the car crash.
Smelling the car crash.
And that is one of the main things you smell on every car crash is antifreeze.
So, yeah. Okay. So one of the things that they teach us in arc blast training is that they show you all these pictures of and videos of grotesque things happening to people. You know, people that get disintegrated and all they find is an inch of their hard hat left. And so they talk about like, well, you're watching this video and you might be getting freaked out by this video. But what you need to prepare yourself for is what it smells like whenever a man gets charred. And it's like, oh, God, why would you ever mention that to me? Like, that sounds horrid. I never want to think about what a man smells like charred.
I can't be in the room when my wife cooks. I always have to be outside or in another room. Yeah, I can't do it.
God.
All right,
But
Donnie.
on a horror, boy, did we take that down quick?
Wow,
or what?
but
So
she's
Donnie-
a good cook.
Donnie,
She's an amazing
It's not about her.
Danny,
being
you
bad
can't
cook.
talk without a microphone.
It's been too long now. It's awkward.
Yes.
Yeah, it is awkward.
Serena, you are a great cook.
Yeah, I've had Serena's cooking. It's delicious.
How do we follow Donnie? If you want more
I don't
Do you
like
want
her
followers?
more uplifting
Secrets in the
stuff like that.
sauce.
Actually,
are you on the
it's,
Twitter, Facebook?
well, just research the Code Green campaign.
All right.
And for anybody that's doing this job, new to the job, and again, get a hold of Jeremiah and give me a call. I'll talk you through it.
All right.
We have
Because I
quite a
can tell you that folks that don't understand what's going to happen to them, they either listen. I had a friend of mine that committed suicide.
Mhm.
And it was a accumulation of all of these things that he'd been going through, and one thing with his family life triggered it, and that was it. It was over. So that's we got to start taking care of the people that do these jobs. It's just they're not all Supermen.
All right. Well, so research Code Green. We have a lot of law enforcement officers that do watch this show.
Absolutely.
So I'll try to find a link for that and post it on the Boss Hog Liberty page.
Appreciate it.
So-
Thank you.
We'll try to get that done.
Dakota's being a sport this week, and he's going to do the editing for us.
Yeah.
I get the 1 week reprieve, or the 2 week
Are
reprieve.
you going to cut out all the coughs that I've had?
Oh, we don't. No, we leave all that in. All right. So, Sarah, the lovely Sarah Potter, for the final time, your final chance for final thoughts as the lovely Sarah Potter.
All right, Sarah, make
Where
it
to
snappy. I got to
begin?
pee.
Where to begin?
Yeah, Dakota's-
So I do have one thing to promote, and I'm not on camera, so you can't see the shirt that I did not wear. I am wearing a shirt, but I was trying to find, and I
think of
was
one of my favorite Bob and Tom bits.
I was running around the house right before we were going over to Danny's to get the tent put up to find my Danny Lundy for Brown Township shirt, because I know I brought it to Jeremiah's house / my house now, our house.
Can't wait till she makes the August mortgage payment.
And I could not find this shirt that I purchased from Danny Lundy, who's running for Brown Township Board.
In
So
Morgan
I
County.
wanted to promote Danny because he is a great friend of mine. He's an awesome libertarian. He's very intelligent. He's very eloquent when he writes different things that he's written for the newspaper. So I think he's a great choice for our Brown Township Board. I'm not sure if I'll be able to vote for him because I don't know where I'll technically be registered at that point. So
Not
it's vote
there.
for my husband or vote for my friend. Which one do you pick?
Husband, all the way.
Yeah, come on.
So
That's the easy one.
sorry, Danny, but I did plug you in the podcast. So say thank you at some point in time, but not really. And also, I wanted to take a minute to thank Donnie Morrell for doing all the work that he's done on his home, inviting us over to have our wedding there in 2 days. It's going to be very exciting.
It's a pretty decent wedding venue.
It's a great wedding venue. He's done a lot of work, and so has his friend Josie. So we are very thankful for both of you.
His special friend.
His special friend.
Hi, Josie. Nice to meet you.
I mean, it's pretty great. So,
Shout
Anyways.
out to Josie and everybody over at Draper that listens. We know we're huge in
Yes.
Draper, so thank you for that.
So thank you, Danny, Josie, all the Morrell family, all the Potter family, everybody who's pitched in.
By the way-
Francis Lewis.
By the way, Draper, give us a call. We could be the Draper Studios.
This
We'll
is
just work it
true.
out.
Also, Francis.
Save it for your final thoughts, Jer.
Our cousin Frances has put in a lot of work as well, so I'm very thankful for her. And then last of all, I'm very thankful for Jeremiah for putting in over 50% for this wedding as far as the amount of time, effort, and everything.
Nobody's keeping
He's
score.
been great. I'm only keeping score because you're better than I am. So thank you.
Write that down.
And I love you.
Yeah, keep that on record.
You have it on recording now, so you're good to go.
Should we turn the camera and she says it
Then
again?
I
No.
am.
No.
All right.
We don't need to
Get
do
her
that.
to sign that later.
All right. Danny Morrell, final thoughts. Let's have it.
Libby Potter wants to remind you to thank the Burtons and the Obercrombs, Sarah.
So many thank yous.
Thank you, Burton's, Obercrombs, all of the
Like-
people who have pitched in this weekend to make
This is
sure
like
everything
a,
is great.
This is like an Oscar speech. So where's the music? I need to
I will
start
do
playing
this
music.
We're
again
gonna
at
play
the
her off now?
reception, I'm sure.
All right, Danny, final thoughts, man.
Well, it's been a fun time. It's really been cool to get together with some of the family members that we don't get to see as often as we'd like to.
You just saw Rick 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we saw Rick at the bachelor party. I haven't seen Donnie since I got
You are
slapped
so lucky
in the hot dog.
that the rest of the Morrells aren't here.
If we hung out more, I'd probably have twice the gray hair.
Dude, all you guys got to do is come to the Grand Prix.
Oh, you just got to come up to the Indy 500.
Oh man,
You know how cheap it is for you guys to fly to me?
It's the same this way,
and then
brother.
I can get all of the New York guys to fly down to me.
Yeah,
They're
good luck
cheap,
with
too.
that.
There's a very good chance that Sarah and I will come to the Grand Prix of St. Pete.
Really?
Yeah, very good chance. It's just a matter of finding a year to do it. But yeah, we'll be there.
As long as I'm not pregnant, we're good.
Oh boy, you can go pregnant.
Wow.
Stop it.
Already planning, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to be on the Gulf with us on the boat, so don't be pregnant when you come down.
Hey, sober driver.
No pregos.
No
right.
pregos
It-
allowed.
We'll have a will.
Sarah is talking off camera. It's horrible.
As far as final thoughts, I'm just really happy that we could all come together, celebrate Jeremiah and Sarah. It's gonna be really exciting. It's been a lot of hard work, but I'm really looking forward to Friday and Saturday, and also looking forward to 20% of me is just ready to get it over with.
Only 20%.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I'm ready to admit for. But it's gonna be great. I think I'm gonna try my suit on maybe tomorrow morning to make sure it fits. Nick and I are gonna have a
Oh my gosh.
modeling
We'll
session.
just trade
It's gonna
anything
be-
doesn't fit right.
It's gonna be
Are
Dakota.
you guys
and I
going to wear
looking-
those to the go-karts?
Dakota
Yes.
and I are going to look
Are you?
good,
It fits?
and Danny and cousin Rick are going to be in their underwear. That's the way this is going to go down.
I get to make a speech on Saturday.
That is the most terrifying part of the entire weekend for me.
I've got some things up my sleeve. I feel like
All right.
it's pretty cool to be able to
Dakota.
have my.
How many times are you going to cry? Over under on 2.
Oh boy,
I'm gonna take under on that one.
Under?
Yeah, under. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
I'm soft as shit, guys.
Yeah,
I'm thinking once.
No, but
It's going to be start at the beginning, cry, and not
just,
stop to the
just
end.
heaving man cries.
Ugly crying the whole time.
Well, you can do the old school. You know,
his mascara might run.
you can do the speech from old school. You know, I came home early from the plane from Chicago.
I'm expecting a speech from each of the groomsmen, by the way. I hope you guys have something prepared, Dakota and Rick.
No, nothing prepared.
I have so much that I want to talk about that I feel like would be so wrong to do. So maybe we'll have a little bit of open mic night tomorrow night. Anyway, final thoughts. I love you guys. I'm really excited. The show's great. And let's get this thing over with so we can go do something else.
Didn't want to be here. Cousin Rick, final thoughts.
I'm not supposed to be here, so have your cats spayed and neutered. Dogs are okay.
I like
The-
that. Dogs are okay.
The co-host nobody ever asked for.
Dakota?
Interesting.
No, wait, cousin Rick, you do care about dogs very much. You adopted like the one dog that should have been totally unadoptable from the pound. It had heartworms and a broken leg, and yet it comes home with you.
Yeah, my sister Amelia tricked me into it.
Ramelia?
Alemia.
Yes.
My sister Alemia tricked me into it. He's been just terrible.
Your dog. Your dog Twig.
Yeah.
Twiggy.
He's a nice dog, but he's just an unfortunate
Just
specimen.
horrible.
So cousin Rick adopted this dog and would bring it to my house the first couple of years. This dog, Dakota, terrified of hardwood floors, any hard surface floors. So we would have, for him to go around the house, the first 2 times he came over, we would have to put area rugs down so he could jump from area rug to area rug because he wouldn't step on a hardwood floor.
If you don't do that, you have to either carry him from room to room or listen to him cry.
Is it just because his paws hit the floor or his claws hit the floor and he's like, oh,
What?
When I got him, I don't know if he was hit by a car or something, but for the camera, he's got like a broken leg that's healed
oh.
since, so he can get around on it fine, but it screws with his balance.
What kind of dog is it?
I've been told he's an Australian Shepherd mix.
Yeah.
Does he look like Garth?
No, he's a black and tan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dakota and
not
I
one of the blue.
adopted some Aussies.
with Australian Shepherd.
Yes, Danny's talking off mic again, saying the dog identifies as Australian Shepherds.
Yeah,
Nick or Rick, I'm sorry. How do people follow you on Twitter?
You'll get my Twitter handle for my cold dead hands.
Or on the Reddit, Xbox. Can they add you on Xbox at least?
Yeah, Nick Lead on Xbox. Reddit I deleted. They curate pretty badly. So does Twitter too.
Yeah.
But Trump's on Twitter, so I'm going to hang in there.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us.
I deleted my Reddit account as
By
well.
the way, I tried to get Cousin Rick to join us about a year ago on the show and talk about his honeybees, and he would never do it. So glad you're finally on here. Maybe someday we'll do a call-in show and we'll just talk about bees.
I would love that.
Would you?
I'd love to talk about bees.
I
I'd
still
rather not
haven't
do it on
had
air.
my jar come back full yet. When's the season?
It'll probably be like September before we get more honey.
All right.
Okay.
Dakota.
So you could give it to us
All
as a
right.
first anniversary gift?
Well, see, your anniversary is always going to be a little ahead of harvest season, so
So a 6-month anniversary gift?
It's
we need to
okay,
get,
Sarah.
We need
Aaron-
to get an order in.
Aaron Steen loves us more than Cousin Rick.
He's got
It's
our
fine.
back.
Yeah, we're
we
good
have
to go.
his honey in the pantry.
Yeah, we're good.
I'll get you guys set up with a hive.
Ooh.
Make your own honey.
Ooh.
A new
Get your man a
hobby.
fish.
They're getting ready to make some honey.
Give you a fish. Which one?
After Saturday.
Yeah, not before Saturday.
Dakota, what do you know?
You can do them in town.
All right. What I know, I was going to cover Jean Lysing's little thing that she sent me today, but I'm not going to go over it because we're already at an hour and a half, so that's going to have to wait. But I do have some other things to plug. I'm wearing my K9 Lex t-shirt.
Brandy Patton.
It looks great.
But I bought this in support of the Newcastle Police Department and their fundraiser for the 2 new K9s that they were going to be getting.
Are you a statist now? Is that are you going to get thrown out of the
I don't
Libertarian
think
Party?
so, because at the time they were planning on only using these private donations to fund the dogs. It has since changed, and that's a little bit disappointing to me. I mean, legitimately, it is kind of disappointing to me, but I understand that they wanted to get it done as soon as possible. So I understand the reasons, and I'm still going to wear the shirt. I like the shirt, and
okay, so if people pitched in and the city didn't have to kick in the money, then it would be a problem. So if folks
Exactly.
get in their wallets and do a little donations, it won't be a thing.
It's not done completely yet, I don't think.
If you're
the
watching
city
on
just said
camera,
that they were open to
baby
it.
brother Danny is forced his way into the shot in
chair.
the corner waving. Oh, man. All right.
Hey guys.
Hi, Lex.
Hey.
Yeah, well, privately funded like the Cannon.
But,
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We do some really good work in every. There's so much to celebrate here. It's unreal.
Oh! You got really close,
Cousin,
right there.
Cousin Danny is all up on Dakota.
Yeah, and you just did too. That
Yeah.
was weird.
Yeah, you got a moral sandwiched.
So,
Oh boy.
I'm wondering, as my final thoughts, and this is a question for Donnie, this is a question for Danny,
I'm already feeling uncomfortable.
and this is a question for Cousin Rick. Do you think it would be a good idea to take the Zoom to the reception and do a roast on Jeremiah?
Is this
Oh
the
my
Zoom?
God. Yes.
The camera, the Zoom?
No, the Zoom is just the audio recording.
So Chris Spangle, dear leader, is going to be bringing a camera, and people can leave video messages. He has a station set up
We
for the
hope
reception.
he's bringing a camera. He never responded to my message.
You have instructed him. That's enough for me, ma'am.
All right. What do you
yeah.
guys think of that?
Are we
What do
going
you
to have
think
the
of that
chair?
idea?
Are we going to have the chair and the mic and everything?
Yeah.
And then the
Well,
datas?
So my opinion down here, back corner, is to do it during the rehearsal dinner.
Ooh.
Oh, you want to do
That
it
way,
during the
it's not.
rehearsal?
We can really let it fly.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah,
That's a
tomorrow
better choice.
night is the roast night, in my opinion.
All right, I'll bring it.
I'll vote for that.
I'll bring it. Let's roast Jeremiah tomorrow.
Nobody will see it.
I can't wait. Do I get to participate?
So it's settled.
All right.
Terrifying.
They
All
might
right.
hear it though. We're gonna be recording it, and it's gonna be available for the
Patreon only.
for the Patreon
Patreon only.
supporters.
I will whore myself out for
Premium
Patreon.
There's like
subscription.
there's like 20 people on there now, Jeremiah.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Most
getting
of
up
them-
there.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. One other thing, of course, always plugging the Boss Hog of Liberty Patreon. Patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty.
Believe it or not, my mother-in-law just approved that plan.
I knew she would.
Libby
She's
said
the
it's
best.
fine. Danny says his house is rules. It's terrifying.
All right. I love it. Libby's on board.
Does that mean she gets a turn too?
Oh, I can't
Yes, she
Yes.
does.
wait. I can't wait.
Everyone there gets a turn, Sarah.
The roast of Jeremiah Morrell.
Yeah, but he gets the roast back. Those are the rules, right?
Yeah. Have you watched Don
at the
Rickles?
very end?
No.
Yeah.
Wait, I punch hard. Hard.
Just remember, the next day we have an event.
Okay, Danny's talking off camera, and it doesn't need to be. You don't need the mic on that one.
Was it, that's what she
don't,
said?
Don't
no way?
bother.
All right, Jeremiah, what
that's
are your
what she
final
said.
thoughts?
Final thoughts. I am so excited to have everybody here. It's going to be overload. There's so much family in town.
So much crying is going to happen.
I'm not going to cry.
I'm going to cry.
You're soft.
Yes, like Danny.
I'm rock solid. Very excited to have everybody here. Truly wish we could have like 600 people here because the list of folks I would love to have had is phenomenal. But a lot of family and friends coming from the long distance, and I'm excited about that. Saw Rex and Susan Bell earlier. Those guys are like my second set of parents. And Rex, just as we were building the additional auxiliary tent, indicated that he's been scouring Kentucky for some new lamps, and I am very optimistic that maybe the house will be bright and illuminated when we come back home from the honeymoon, Sarah.
You have eagle lamps.
I've got the Eagle lamps.
They're
but-
plenty bright.
but
Stacy,
you know-
or not Stacy, my mother
Hey,
complained.
I'm talking.
She complained
I'm talking.
because there were no lampshades. It was too bright in there.
This is Sarah's show.
At least 25%
Does she
my
own
show.
half of my show now?
Yeah.
I get 25% now.
That's a recollection for probably early episode 7 or 8. Audrey's like, Jer, Dakota had a nightmare last night.
Oh, that was more recent than 7
It was
or 8.
very early.
I don't think it was that early.
Audrey,
I think
Audrey's
it was like episode 20 or so.
Yeah, I think
Dakota
so too.
Dakota has nightmares now, and he just
Yeah,
wakes up
this is
saying
for self-defense.
he just wakes up and says, Jer owns half. Apparently, that's trauma for Dakota. Jer owns half of the Boss Hog of Liberty.
I want to
Well,
own
now
it
I
all.
have a 25% cut.
Whatever. Only in case of divorce. Otherwise, you can have your car, and I'm keeping the show.
I keep the driver's side of the car and 25% of the show.
Okay, whatever. We'll negotiate later. I think we're at the end. Can we be at the
All
end?
right. Yep, we're
We
at
got
the
we
end.
got drinking to do.
Did you do final thoughts, Jer?
That
I don't
was my
think you
final
did.
thought. It
That
was
was it.
Rex.
Oh,
good.
okay.
I'm very excited about everybody that's participated. Excited about Memorial Park. And next week is once again going to be another ridiculous show where you're probably going to get very little politics and you're going to get a lot of personal stuff because it's going to be Cade, Danny, Chase, and Dakota and myself recapping the wedding and God only knows what else, and probably trying to pitch you the Patreon so you hear the roast of Jeremiah Morrell that apparently was just planned
That's right.
on the air.
For $20 subscribers, we will be putting the post of the roast up on Patreon.
And at any level.
I'm prepared
any
to
level.
commit to that.
Patreon,
$5 or more.
$5 or more.
Patreon.com/Boss
Don't sell yourself short, guys. $20 is the cutoff for the roast video.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good idea.
It will be non-edited.
Let's do just the $50 club only.
It will not be
Too exclusive.
PG-13.
All right, that's an end of this. We will see you all next week, and I'll have something on the finger. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians Network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at WeAreLibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to WeAreLibertarians.com and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at WeAreLibertarians.com.